The county was under no obligation to build that building. Absolutely no obligation. So the state, again, is not giving us one nickel towards that. But we thought it was important because that is a building that's going to service the residents of Union County, especially the family court, where there's a lot of cases and interests that has to happen there, and a lot of requirements that have to be built to build that building. So in cooperation with the courts, we decided to go ahead and go ahead with that building.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take a long look at this one. Take a long look at it. What you're looking at is the Union County Family Courthouse. Now, I spoke, this is Bruce Patterson, and tonight it's a freeholders meeting, February 23rd, 2012. But I spoke on this in the public speaking portion. And I didn't deny that they need a courthouse. I didn't argue that there should be a building. However, what I did argue, the Star Ledger in the Union County section back on February 5th had interviewed Charlotte DeFilippo. And what she stated about this, she said, "We're trying to build, for lack of a better definition, a sturdy facility that will require a low level of maintenance. Nobody is looking for anything other than efficient economic facility." Now study this. Now, I'm in construction, and I would assume everybody else probably understands at least what buildings look like. But are we looking at an efficient economic structure? We're looking at a building with 4 stories. The whole facade is all glass. You can't really see it, but there's also curved glass walls. There's also angular glass walls. Like the whole front facade is all glass. There is no economics involved in this. Efficiency, glass is a very poor insulator, so like the heat just goes right out the glass. So they're going to be blowing this warm air against all these glass panes constantly in the winter. I mean, it is going to be such a waste of energy.
And here, also be hot in the summer?
No, and hot. Then they blow the cold air. That's all. But I mean, the problem we have here is Union County Improvement Director, UCIA Director Charlotte DeFilippo, just lies through her teeth. She has no concept of actually knowing what construction is about, and she figures the people aren't aware of it either. And so she just lied through her teeth. And the sad part is Union County, the Star Ledger in the Union County section didn't have a picture of that courthouse in there for some reason. People would have read this about an economic building and look at all this glass and say, what, is she crazy? Well, she is crazy. In fact, she's a fraud, to tell you the truth. And you know why she's there? Here, and I've said this many times before, the reason why she's there is because she's the head of the Union County Democrats, and one of her main purpose for the head of the county Democrats is fundraising. Well, it just so happens that professional architects, professional engineers, professional surveyors, all these professional contracts that are given out in construction are actually given out non-competitive. In other words, you don't have to get competing numbers. You can just turn around and say, hey, what do you want to do here for the architecture for this building? Make it $5 million. Fine, you got the contract. Oh, by the way, a couple months later, oh, here's a check for, I'm donating to the Union County Democrat Party. So there's the problem right there. She's not in it. She's not in it to be an authority of construction. She's in it just to raise donations from the professionals with the non-competitive contracts. So we're looking at major problems here. This building, the idea started around 20 million, it went to 24 million. It wasn't this building idea at that point, but then it's up to 36 million. Now it's 45 million. They're borrowing all the soft costs also, like the legal fees. They're going to bond legal fees and the architectural fees. We got major problems here. They're lost.
Include their purchase of 10 Cherry Street and the adjoining properties.
Oh yeah. To tell you the truth, I'm sure there's probably another $5 million involved in purchasing all the properties around there. I think it was like $3 million for the 10 Cherry Street, wasn't it?
I thought it was more. I thought it was a big number.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
Well, anyway, but I mean, every structure over the past many years, the boondoggle gets bigger and bigger. The waste gets bigger. the efficient structure. You know what the strange thing about this is? They actually are blaming the state because the state mandates that we have to provide a venue for the state court system. So yes, we're going to build a building, but then they decide, well, if we're going to build a building, why don't we build one of the most expensive buildings possible, which makes no sense at all because all they're doing is hurting the taxpayers, and they're going to blame it on the state. So they're building an ivory tower in their own honor, just to hurt the taxpayers, just so they can look
What
good.
is that price? I mean, they mentioned the prices, and it was, I think, $36 million for the construction. That includes all the furniture and
Yeah, hard cost. Yes, hard cost is the
furniture,
structure
chairs,
itself.
and tables.
Well, here's what Sullivan said at the meeting about
Phone
those
system.
costs.
Who's going to put that in? Who's going to put it?
Same thing, I don't know how you can design a better building by looking at a picture. Giving us a picture and say, oh, I could do this for $10 million less or something. I guess people out there are really smart, know all their stuff, but, yeah.
And in looking at the budget, they do this all the time. Because there's a 2% cap on debt is exempt from the cap. So they look for places to build, like New Providence, Oakwood Park, Galloping Hill Clubhouse, who asked for that? You can go down the list. The ice rinks at Oak Ridge Park will be there. They do that, and you could see it. It's so, when you look at campaign contributions and what certain law firms and engineering firms are getting out, this is what they're doing. Who needs this kind of big courthouse? And they try to explain it,
They can't explain it. They can't explain it. They're just giving lip service. They make no sense. Anybody in construction would understand that. All they're doing is scamming the taxpayers, and they're pushing everything into these non-competitive professional construction contracts just so they can get donations to the political parties, just so they can continue with this rampant waste and abuse. It's a self-perpetuating downward spiral. It's sad, very sad. Nobody in their right mind of true leadership and concern for the taxpayers would even let this go.